Hey folks, this is Zachary Martin with a long overdue episode of Mondays on the Susquehanna. And full disclosure, today is Tuesday, so we'll keep that our own little secret. So Nicholas's soccer practices resumed. I'm sure we all know why they stopped, because of the COVID. And they moved him to Tuesdays. And because it's summer, I can bring him a little bit more often. So I figure what a perfect time to bring back Mondays on the Susquehanna. So I'm gonna walk down here to this little bend. As you can see, the river is down quite a bit. It looks beautiful actually, but it's down quite a bit. So we are going to see if we can get into some smallies. I'm gonna start with this guy right here, a little crayfish. And if I get some nibbles on this, but not some bites, I have a Ned rig. You guys have heard that before if you're fans of the show. And a Ned rig basically mimics a crayfish, but it's a smaller profile. So if they're just nibbling at first and I can't get them to take it, then I'll go down to a smaller profile bait and see if I can get them to take it. I also got a jerk bait and a crankbait and a swim bait. So covered most of the basics for smallmouth. Crankbait and jerkbait I'll probably use last. They tend to get hung up a bit more often, especially in a river. But we're gonna see how we can do here. I'm gonna go down this little bend here and make my first cast. It is absolutely beautiful. Probably one of the warmest days of the year so far, if not. You can see how low this river is, how dry it is down here. We haven't had some rain in a while, and I don't think we're expecting any until the weekend, to be honest with you. Got a lot of lay down, some brush up here. Normally, those of you who fished this river before, normally these bushes, or this brush pile that I'm pointing to, is underwater. Or the water would come right up to the bottom of this here and you'd walk above it here. So you can tell how low this water is. So I'm gonna bounce this little crayfish around for a little bit and see if we can get into something. Okay? I'll let this fall a little. Ideally, you want this to come off the bottom like a crayfish. A lot of rocks down there, though. That's where the crayfish live, but it's also where you can get snagged, so we'll see. So you can see down there, I don't know if you can see that, it's just sitting like that, and it sits up. So you can see, when this is on the bottom, this sits up, and that's how crayfish will sit when they defend themselves if a fish comes by. Alright folks, I'm back. No fish yet, but just to let you know I did a couple lure changes, bait changes. So I wasn't feeling it with the crayfish. I didn't get any bites, so I switched to a jerk bait. Didn't get any bites on that either. And then I started seeing these schools of 1,000 or so bait fish, little minnows, right on the edge of the bank here. There's a fish right there in the water. I don't know if you can see him, but he is right there in the water. Let me see if I can get him. He doesn't see me. Nope, he has no interest. No interest. Little 12-incher, but I don't know if he's spooked or... Yeah, he doesn't want anything I got. So started seeing some bait fish, so I switched to a swim bait. I wish I had, this is the smallest swim bait I own, and I brought it with me, but I actually wish I had a little smaller swim bait, because these little minnows that they're possibly feeding on are smaller than that. But see if I can get something to hit this. I'm letting it fall to the bottom, and I'm just reeling it off the bottom parallel to the bank. I tend to fish a lot parallel to the bank when I'm river fishing. Hey folks, I'm back. So I didn't catch a fish yet, but I'm just going to show you a few things. I got the wind to my back. Even though the river is flowing towards me, I am throwing upriver. I tend to do that when the wind's at my back. A couple of reasons. I'm throwing upriver because I don't want to walk up there and throw right on top of a fish if it's sitting on the bank or if it's sitting near the bank. Two things. It's going to feel my vibrations when I'm walking on these rocks. And if you see this guy right out here, that's my shadow. Fish spend a lot of their time looking up because some of their predators, as you're well aware, come from the top, not the bottom. So they spend a lot of time looking up, and anything that's going to make them aware that something is there is going to spook them. That's my shadow, my vibrations, things like that. And I'm throwing upriver because the wind's to my back, because the bait caster will tend to rat's nest on me if I throw into the wind. Now I can adjust some settings on the side and things like that to do that, but I'm still going to throw it with the wind just to make life a little easier. But I'm throwing right next to the bank here, probably about 30 yards or so, to make sure that I don't spook any fish if they're sitting there. Get them to come up and bite this. See if they're feeding on those bait fish that I saw. Again, those bait fish are a lot smaller than my swim bait, but they're there. All right, folks, another bait change. This one was of necessity. As you have probably guessed, I have donated yet another bait to the bottom of the Susquehanna. My swim bait got lodged. I did all the little tricks, walk behind it, let the current take it away, dislodge it, whatever. Didn't work. So I'm now throwing a crankbait, which isn't a bad lure for this river. It's a little square bill. It's got a small profile. And the beautiful thing about this is you throw it out and reel it back in. A lot of people don't like these because they tend to get hung up, but the square bill actually bounces off things. And that tends to be when you get your strike. It bounces off a rock and ricochet to the right, and it'll sometimes trigger a fish striking that lure because it acts so erratically. A lot of times you can get these loose by just waiting until they back off. So when they strike something or when they bump into something, they actually float backwards a little bit and up, which tends to dislodge it. They do get hung up, of course, like any other bait with hooks, but they do tend to elicit some really powerful strikes too, if you fish this around logs and rocks and things like that, which is what I'm trying to do. So if I feel a little bit of tension, I'm going to back off of it, let it go back, and at that point, maybe elicit a strike. That's what I'm trying to do. Still throwing downstream. There's a little inlet here I'm going to fish here in a second. Fished. Oh! That was probably a rock or something like that, but that's that bounce I told you about. You just let it bounce off, let it hang out, and sometimes they'll strike it. I don't have any... A lot of times this will pick up weeds and things, so that'll let you know if you're too close to the bottom or going through weeds. See, there's some weeds or grass, or not grass, some dead leaves at the bottom right there. That's going to happen when you fish a crankbait. It's going to happen when you fish with hooks, period. Oh. This happens. Fish on. Come on. Oh, did you throw it? Ah. Oh, no, he's still there. Come on, buddy. Come on. Stay on, stay on. Swimming upstream. Stay on. All right. You can see he swiped at it and missed it a little. But we got him. Little smallmouth. There we go. Smallies on the Susquehanna. Stay. Stay. Don't you run. And don't you jump. Stay. Small one again, but I'll take them. Boy, even the small ones, man, these guys got some. Get out of there. All right. Number 2. So you can see sometimes they swipe at him and miss. That's why he's not in the mouth. But that's okay. Trying not to hurt him. There we go. Again, not big, but fish is a fish. Smallmouths on Susquehanna. Okay, folks, couple more casts here. Nicholas is almost done with practice, so gotta walk back up to the top here and go back to my truck. Throw right there into the little ripple area. See if we can get some strikes. I've noticed that a lot of my fish, because I'm throwing upriver, as I get to that spot that I've caught a fish on, I've noticed that there's some laydowns and some trees and stuff like protruding out into the river just a bit. There we go. And that seems to be where I've got those strikes. I did get one out in the middle here in about, I think, 8 to 10 feet. That's that little one that didn't hold on. But most of them, it's this crankbait bouncing off those sticks and those stones that are sticking out and jutting out into the river and getting that strike, that reaction strike as that guy comes swimming by. So a couple more casts. And throw one cast up there by that rock that's sticking out in the water. That's about 3 feet off the bank. That'll be my last cast. Saw a ton of bait fish. I think next time I'm gonna bring some tiny little gulp or something like that that mimic those tiny little minnows and put it on a ultralight rod. Catching a smallmouth on an ultralight is really fun. So I'll try that next time. See if these minnows are still up in the shallows like they are today. So there's that rock that's sticking out. I'm going to try to aim at that. There's also a log right next to it too, I just noticed. That I'd like to... I don't want to get too close to it though. Trigger a strike off of that. See if I can bounce it off there and see if something will come hammer smash it. So, this is a little dangerous. You gotta pay attention to where you're walking here. I don't want to get too... I'm trying to find a nice flat area I can throw. There we go. Right there. So I'm gonna guide this in towards the shore. Come right by that rock. I'd love to see if there's a fish on that rock. Nope. Alright, a little closer maybe. That's the cast right there. That's the cast. Okay, come on. See if we can get something to take a swipe at that as it goes by that rock. Nope. And one more. Throw out there a little further. Little backlash. There we go. No problem. Something biting my leg. Alright, so fairly successful evening. Caught fish. That's why I come out here. There's a fish. There's a fish right by the rock, just like I said. Stay on. Don't you jump. Stay on. Just like I said. Good thing I lied about the last cast. Stay on, brother. Stay on. Stay on. Smallmouths on the Susquehanna. Love it, love it, love it. Stay on. Stay on. There we go. Got him. Awesome. Last fish of the day. Stay. Don't you dare. Stay. Right in the mouth, too. 2 hooks. He wasn't going anywhere. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Mondays on the Susquehanna with Zachary Martin. Thanks for watching.